Let's say we have decided to build an online store. We want to offer a vast array of products, right from books to cutting edge electronics, some digital ebooks and software. So we know that whatever we are going to sell in our online store is at the core, it's going to be a product. So we have designed a blueprint to represent the product. So the blueprint has, we are going to use these properties to represent the product. We have a name, the stock keeping unit, and the price. So the name is a string, and stock keeping unit is a string, and price is double. We also gave it some functionality. So display info is going to display the all this information about a product. So if you create a product and call this function, it's going to give you all this information. We have a function called add to cart. So when the product is going to be displayed and a user clicks on the add to cart button, we are going to call this function on the product. Finally, we have an apply discount function that is going to take an input parameter, which is going to be percent, and it's going to calculate the discount to be applied on the product. It's going to apply the discount on the price. This is what our product class looks like. It has three properties and it has these functions: add to cart, apply discount, and display info. So we are going to create some products for our store. So I'm going to say function main, and here I can create, say, a book. Say I can now create another product, maybe a TV. So similarly, a TV would also be a product, and as you can see here, we've created two products, book and TV. But you find that, let's say, a book is going to have some properties like, say, author and page count. You see that the product here does not have these properties. They don't doesn't have a property called author or page count. So of course, if you try to add it over here, if you add a new property, author, then what happens is, now book needs to give a value for author, but TV would also need to give a value for author. So this is a problem. So what we're discovering here is that even though book and TV are products inside my online store, each of these have some extra properties. They have some extra properties and extra functions as well. For example, TV would book may have something like preview page. What if somebody wants to see the preview page? So book is going to have an extra function. Similarly, a TV could have some extra functions like show the warranty or something like that. So what we find is book and TV are all products, but they have some extra properties which the other products don't have. But at the end of the day, they are all a product. Solution for this is we need to create a separate class for book and TV. So let's see what I've done here. I have a class called book. I created a new class called book, and then I added the same properties again. I added my new property called author, and the functions inside are the same thing which are there in product. Similarly, I have similarly I created a class called TV, and I added an extra property called brand, and again I'm repeating the same code. Fine, this might work fine, but instead of product, I'm going to create an object of type book. So I know that book has this extra property called author. So I'm going to go here and give some author name. And I know that my TV has a new, so instead of a product, I create a TV, and I can pass some parameter for the brand. I can say brand name. As you can see, so as you can see here, it is going to work fine. But there is a problem here, and the problem is all this code is getting repeated. If you have 100 different products, then you will find that you have to, this code is going to be repeated in 100 products. And what if you decide to add a new property called description? Then you will have to go and add the same property in all the classes and all the individual product classes. So the important thing here is to realize that there is a relationship between book and the product class. So there is a class called product, there is a class called book, and there is a class called TV. The relationship is that book is a product, and similarly, TV is a product. So this is what we call as inheritance. So what we can say is, since a book is a product, we can say that book inherits from product. Now that we've realized that there is a relationship, this directly points to inheritance. So we should not repeat this common code. So we're going to refactor the system and make our book and TV inherit from our product base class. So the base class, its product would now be a base class or a parent class. So let's see how we can refactor this. So I'm going to remove all the common code from book and TV, and I'm going to make book inherit from the product class. So inheritance in Kotlin, the way to inherit from a base class is by, in your constructor, you go to your constructor and then you say, after you declare your constructor and your properties, you say colon, and then you give the base class name. So you see that, it's giving an error here. No value passed for parameter name, no value passed for parameter price. So what this means is, once you are inheriting from the class product, you don't have to declare these properties again, because you are already getting these properties from the base class. So when you remove this val from these properties, they now become like function parameters. They will not be considered as properties of book. They'll just be function parameters. But there's also one more thing. If you see here, okay, let's go to the errors. It's going to say this type is final, cannot be extended. So it says product is final and cannot be extended. So what this means is, your product class is not open for inheritance. So what you need to do is, you need to open this class by this using this keyword open. So when you say open before the class, it means that your class is now open for inheritance, and now this error should be gone. Here it says this type has a constructor, so it must be initialized. So since your product class has a constructor, right? Your product class has a constructor. Basically, your product is saying, if you want to construct an object of type product, then you need to pass these values. So where are those values here? You have to pass those values. So you have to call the constructor of the product if you're going to inherit. Now all the errors are gone. Okay. So the first step is, I declared the product class as open. Then I declared these parameters. So where does book get these name, SKU, and price from? So you need to make sure that you have these parameters, and these are not properties, right? These are parameters. And when someone creates an object of type book, they will have to pass the value for these parameters. Then you give a colon, and then you give the name of the class, which is the base class or the parent class. So here we have the parent class is the product class, And since product has a constructor, you have to pass some values for the constructor.